And so welcome to the Author's Lane. And today I have with me Miss Candace Stuart-Findlay, who is
Yay!
she is the author of, let me get this right, it is Spiritual Transformation Simplified, the 6 Fundamentals of Life Mastery.
Yeah.
So I can say all of that. Well, hi,
You've mastered it right there. That you're good. You're good now.
Exactly, right? How are you doing today?
Fabulous.
Awesome. Well, I am excited to have you on. I love to be able to bring authors that are from a different genre, and we've had so many genres represented on the Author's Lane from the authors that have shared with us in prior segments and prior episodes. So I am excited today because you are going to share your book with us. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you also have a very a great history. You have a background that is just encompassing of multiple methodologies. Mm-hmm. And so I want to be able to talk about the one first, and that's the intuitive empath. So we're going to talk about that, but just tell the people who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to share about my work. And also, I want to say thank you for your dedication to bringing information about all kinds of books and research and things of that nature to the public, because it's hard to know what you want to read next. You know, it can be challenging sometimes. So, and going on Amazon, or nowadays we'll see how things go, but there's not a lot of ways to get a book to a bookstore. Mm-hmm. So when you go on Amazon, there's not a lot of options, you know, for how do you know what you want? I mean, there's just so much. How do you search for it? How do you know? So, but what you're doing is such a great service for everyone. And I just wanted to honor your dedication to that and acknowledge that service. So thank you.
Thank you. That was the premise of the Author's Lane, was to do exactly that.
Yes.
And so we've been really well received. And so
highly successful, it looks like to me.
Well, thank you. we do our best. So
well, as you
about your background, and
yes.
We'll talk about the book in a few moments, but first share with me what you do, because you have a history of things that you do. You have a list.
Yes. Well, as Cheryl introduced me, I'm Candace Stuart-Findlay, and I came in to this life cycle, this life experience, already less filtered and highly sensitive to feelings, which is the same thing as electromagnetic frequencies. They're the same thing. And when you don't know, we always learn from contrast, and right, as a human. And so you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. I just thought everybody was that way. I didn't know. And initially, in kindergarten and first grade and all of that, people said, she must be a genius, because look, she knows all this stuff. No, I was just seeing it and not realizing that I could answer these questions the teacher would ask, because I could see in my mind's eye what she was, the imagery that she had. For instance, in second grade, the teacher's sitting on her little stool and we're all on the floor cross-legged, and we're learning about brushing our teeth. So I'm gonna give away my age. So back in those days, the toothbrushes were glued in, the bristles were glued in. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't rinse them with hot water because the bristles would fall out.
Okay.
So she was explaining that, when you rinse your brush, you remember you have to use cold water. Does anybody know why? And I shot my hand up immediately. She was shocked that, these little first graders, barely paying attention, right? But I saw the bristles falling out.
Wow.
And so I said, oh, because the bristles will fall out. She goes, oh, yeah, that's right.
I didn't expect you to answer that.
I didn't think you'd get that, but thank you. So anyway, that, you know, my parents wanted to hide the bananas because they didn't want me to want them because I loved them. And so they'd spell the word, you know, and I'd know what it was because I could see the bananas, and, you know. But then after a while, it was
Interesting.
obvious that I wasn't necessarily a genius. And so what was really going on, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and then a lot of confusion, a lot of overwhelm. Especially you can imagine going through puberty and then high school, and everybody's, you know, into their drama and angst. And so I went through a time of really feeling suicidal because I just was on overwhelm, so much heavy, fearful energy. And when that fear energy has, which all of this actually eventually led me to studying quantum physics because I just needed to understand. So life goes on, have you know, a child, you know, get married and get divorced,
Uh-huh.
and then still working very hard to shut down to try to quiet everything, which never really worked. Eventually, I went to mediumship training school, which was interesting and in some regards helpful. I mean, I got to learn how to bend a fork,
Oh,
but
wow. It's
you
not
want to
just a parlor trick.
no. Do you want to see it?
Sure, why not?
I'd step out of my little zone here. I'm in my office. I have it in my office just for the heck of it.
Wow.
This is
Oh
a
my
pretty
gosh.
heavy duty fork. And if I don't know if you can tell, but right here where these two are almost twisting.
Uh-huh.
So up until that point, it felt like butter. It was just moving in my hands like butter. As soon as I started twisting these two tines, the human part of consciousness
Mm-hmm.
said, you can't do this. And then it
Mm.
froze. That was the most
Wow.
profound part of that experience, is how quickly it froze. It was
Mm-hmm.
like butter, and then and that led me, it was very helpful later on when I was studying quantum mechanics and quantum physics. I understood what happened on a quantum level. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
did all that, wasn't real helpful as far as, because it was old school, you know, spirituality and psychic and all that, it was always so mystical
Yeah, yeah.
and ambiguous,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't help. It was like I was still walking around as if I was enclosed in a room with 1,000 TVs on 1,000 different stations, and it just was unbearable at times. I did my best to cope with it and pretend it wasn't happening, but it was. This is why some people who maybe don't realize they're empathic have a hard time going into a mall or a grocery store or any crowded area. They're picking up so unconsciously so much data from
Mm-hmm.
everybody that it just becomes physically challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward 2008, I started studying the Heart Math Institute. I was guided to start studying the science. What's going on? I wanted to connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned about their information about the heart being the primary transmitter of electromagnetic frequencies, AKA feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And what they didn't know, which I subsequently found out through a meditation, is that the heart's the transmitter, but the belly brain, which is the whole enteric nervous system, which has over 100 million neurons,
Mm-hmm.
is the primary receiver. You know, we have all these words for that. I felt gut wrenching, gut punched,
Mm-hmm.
flies, all of that. The belly brain is a key element on how to be able to manage and navigate feeling good and sustaining it. So I studied the heart math stuff, and that helped me a little bit. And then during a meditation, practicing the heart coherent, the heart connection part,
Mm-hmm.
I got this whole vision and download into my human awareness of about number 1, heart, number 2, belly, and then number 3, pineal. And then I was guided, after every download, I was always guided to the white papers, to the scientists,
Mm-hmm.
whomever had the research that would validate and illuminate everything I just had seen in this sort of expanded consciousness experience. And so that led me to working with, collaborating with a biophysicist named William Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And he is on the staff of the Resonance Academy with Nassim Haramein. I don't know if you've heard of Nassim. He's a quantum physicist.
Mm-hmm.
And so a biophysicist is like a quantum biologist,
Okay.
studying the connections between quantum physics and the physical, more contracted form of energy we call the body. So through his work, I learned about the brain antenna and how the belly brain is like remote control for the brain antenna, which then directs from where we receive data into our pineal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to note that the pineal gland contains calcite crystals, microscopic calcite crystals. And that's how we are connecting unconsciously with thoughts and imagery. Because the calcite crystals, their two main properties are, one, to receive in electromagnetic frequency information, data, feelings, and the imagery of those thoughts, magnify it, and then multi-directionally disperse it. So in quantum physics, that's called entanglement. Everything, and in metaphysics, that's everything is everything. Interconnectedness, it's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very interesting.
yeah, so I've been studying this now, well, since 2008, really. But every step of the way, what I would do is I would reach out and go, okay, show me what's next. What's
Mm-hmm.
next? And I've been guided and more information. And so eventually I developed the quantum life transformation coaching work that I do. And
Okay.
I've also have a core issue release process as a facilitator for that. And that's where we're actually removing the unconscious blocking program from our energetic field. It's from the physical and the energetic field. I call that two things the avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now what I'm doing, this has led me to a point where I am working on, and more information is coming through, where I'm putting together sort of like a white paper about the difference between the duality construct versus the singularity construct. The duality construct, which is what has been existing in the predominant perception and embracement of what's real here in the physical world, meaning that this is me, everything's out there, it's sort of the us and them situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a whole buy-in into the illusion of separation, as if consciousness was everything about who I am is just contained inside this body. And then singularity.
This is so very interesting. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sitting here mesmerized. And
So
this
singularity
deep
construct.
level.
Yeah, well, I needed to really figure out what the freak was going on. I wanted to be able to navigate through life with ease and joy. And it was such a struggle before, but now it's so much more fun. So
Mm-hmm.
the singularity construct is taking ownership of the fact that we already are connected consciousness, that
Mm-hmm.
there is a source, that this is an individuated stream of energy, but it's not it's not my true self.
Mm-hmm.
We're already all interconnected. So quantum physics calls that entanglement. Metaphysics calls that interconnectedness. It's the same thing. It's just
You know what's so
understanding
interesting?
it.
So let me ask you this, because you know how you meet someone and you have this feeling that I feel like I've known you for such a long time, or I feel like
Yeah.
we've met before, or there's this gravitating connection, and you just don't know where it's come from.
Yep.
And to your point, it's that connectedness, that we are all connected in some form or fashion, just from the
Mm-hmm.
energy,
Mm-hmm.
that surrounds us. And so this is truly your third edition.
Yes.
Okay, and so the other two editions are available on Amazon as well.
Nope. They're gone.
Okay, okay.
Because what I did with this book, and I wrote that in the introduction, is that I acknowledge that this is an ongoing, unfolding, developing process.
Okay.
As my, what I call the avatar, the third and fourth dimension body. So physical body, bioenergetic body, that creates the avatar. It's kind of like in a role-playing game. So that's my vernacular for that. So I acknowledge that my avatar is in her process of clearing the filters out of the way so she can receive and understand and comprehend the magnitude of who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't go from 0 to 60. It's just so big.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that there's filters there. So um, I wrote in the introduction that there's going to be subsequent editions.
Okay.
As things come through, I'll be updating. In fact, I'll be putting out a fourth edition of this book, probably either late this year, early next year, based upon this additional information that I have received in the last 2 weeks. But I'm not ready to
Wow.
write about it yet because my avatar human part is assimilating and coordinating the connection to it. Like you have the knowing, you get this huge download,
Mm-hmm.
which is so expansive and transformative. And then you're like, okay, now what? you,
Mm-hmm.
you, there's a, it's important to honor that ebb and flow of assimilation, of integration. And then after a couple of weeks or so, a month, whatever, all of a sudden it's like your new normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the vocabulary, and then I'm able to actually discuss it, and it's getting easier. But I know it's coming. This information is vitally important. That whole duality construct versus
Yeah.
singularity construct, all of that's going to be woven in and into the fourth edition.
Nice. Now there's something else that you actually wrote, because I went to read the description of the book a little deeper, and I wrote something down here, and it says that you rewrote this book for greater clarity and real world application. And so it is to a point that even though it seems intensely, deep, and you're talking physics and you're talking metaphysics, but you've written this so that a layman can actually read the story
Mm-hmm.
and have a better grasp of how they are connected with the universe, how they're connected with energy, and how
Who
their
they
thought
really are.
processes and
Yeah.
body and all of this stuff. Because when you think about being on this planet and you think you're a sole individual, when in actuality you are a much larger piece of who you are.
Think of it, here's a good analogy. Like when you think about your DNA, do you think about it as being not part of who you are? No, it's part of who you are. Your body
Right.
cells. Do you think your bone cells are not part of who you are? No, they're part of who you are.
Right.
So it's like so above, I mean so below, so above, so below,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like fractal geometry, where things are the same mathematical equation and shape, but smaller, 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 smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it is with energy. Now, the cool thing is, what I really want to talk about, so people have some tools here,
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
because right now, let's just acknowledge, it's clear, there's a lot of fear energy rattling around everywhere. And
Yes.
it's that particular fear energy is really connected to what I call a universal blocking belief.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got it on an unconscious level, and it presents in personalized ways for each individual. But everybody has this root energy,
Mm-hmm.
and this root energy is anticipation of annihilation from external sources.
Mm.
And look at COVID. What a
Yeah,
perfect example of that
exactly.
electromagnetic, that feeling, that electromagnetic frequency registration. And so it's affecting people some pretty intensely. And when they aren't even aware of the fact that they're in this predominant fear focus,
Mm-hmm.
they don't realize what it's doing to them physically.
Mm-hmm.
It's diminishing their immune system. What has been discovered in the last couple of years in quantum physics is that energy is not static. It's either spinning clockwise in contraction or counterclockwise in expansion. Contraction in human vocabulary is attributed, when we feel that tightness in the body,
Mm-hmm.
it's a feeling, bad feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Expansion, when we feel that openness, that lightness, that feeling of goodness,
Mm-hmm.
we all think that's a feeling good feeling. It's the way the energy spins. Now, the contraction spin is important. It's not good or bad, really, because if we didn't have it, guess what? There would be no shape or form here in the physical world.
Mm-hmm. And I
If we
think too, you wouldn't know when you felt good or bad because you were
contrast,
eliminating one of those.
yeah,
It's like, this is the way I'm always supposed to feel. So this is very interesting. There was something else that it said, you talked about it briefly about sabotaging the blocks that we have. And a lot of times that's what we do. We have a tendency to sabotage.
unconsciously, yeah.
Exactly. And so this book actually gives you tools and resources that
Right.
will allow you to experience what it is without having to, and I guess self-taught. You have the ability to read the book and then experience some of the things that are in the book that will help you to become more aware of the energy that's around you, and to become more aware of how you feel and why you feel certain ways at certain times. And it gives you,
Right.
I guess, coping skills.
And there's also at the end of each chapter, um, there are exercises, which I
Okay.
highly recommend. Do not do those exercises until you've read the book at least once. Twice would be better,
Mm-hmm.
because it's really important to get the whole understanding of the
Okay.
concept of singularity construct, and then feel empowered by the knowledge before you begin digging in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's that too. And then I also um, list in the book, I think it's in the first fundamental, the first chapter, the meditation technique that I created based on my research.
Okay.
And let's just look at what meditation is. Meditation really is a technique to shift your energy from contraction, fear-based, to expansion, joy-based.
Mm-hmm.
It's really what that is. So, we're running out of time.
It's okay. Give a
So,
few minutes. You got about 4 minutes.
okay, great. So anyway, I want to make sure people know that they can get that MP3 audio file as a
Okay.
free download on my website to utilize that technique to manage how they feel. So to create more joy, to create more health. I don't have time to explain everything here, but let me just tell you that there are ways that you can increase your immune system just by breath work, by feeling good, all of that. And that's explained in the first fundamental, the first chapter of this book,
That
that
is so
basic
interesting.
information.
I earlier today I was having this conversation about meditation and breath work, and the importance of it and how it does help you with your immune system. It helps you with the clarity and focus. You know that it allows you to do that. Now you mentioned earlier about your website, so I want to make sure we get the folks your website. It's empoweredwholebeingproject.com. truthfulpress.com. And I'm going to put that.
That's the website for my publishing company.
Okay. So what is the other website?
For my work directly, it's empoweredwholebeing.com.
Gotcha.
No press part.
Okay.
Just like the back here, EWB, empoweredwholebeing.com.
So you can go there, you can learn more about this information. Guys,
right.
Let me tell you, I am so interested. So I know as you are listening, you want to know more and more because it's just an interesting conversation.
It's so empowering.
You are
about giving you the
engaged.
tools to be able to create your best life. I mean, it's science. We get it out of the ambiguity part, get it into just real world tools so that you can incorporate it however much you want in your day-to-day life.
And that's what's important. And that's what I love. I love things where you get techniques and tools that you can immediately start to use in your everyday life and then see things shift. You can see a shifting in your goals. You can see a shifting in how you even look at things, like a third lens. You have this ability to use that outer lens where you now look and go, you ask yourselves questions. Is this
May I add one? Do I have time to add one thing?
Yes,
please?
You can add one thing. Yes.
Okay. So one of the additional guidance that I've received is, and I'm working with this with my coaching clients, is the importance of multidimensional healing. And what that just means is that you're doing this release work, energetic, inner work, whatever. But as you do that, as you do that, your physical body is another energy field, just more contracted. I want to let you know that in this next edition, I am going to be adding information about the importance of certain organs, especially the liver. People don't realize how congested and compromised their liver can be, and it will create depression, suicidal thoughts. It will create where you cannot absorb your nutrients. It will create where your body is no longer creating the balance of hormones like the dopamine and serotonin. I mean, there's so much. So I have many of my coaching clients, they've done a lot of release work, and then all of this stuff comes up, and I had them do this special liver regeneration protocol with supplements and nutrients. Within 3 days, it's just like, the cloud's been lifted off, because I can't stress that enough. We want, if anybody who's listening, if you're really seeking to find real wholeness, real unity and singularity and connectedness with that feeling good energy on a continual basis, it's got to be addressed from all directions.
There you go. And I think that's important too, is that sometimes you work on one aspect and then the other aspects get, they are negated.
It's
and so
all connected. We're one.
Exactly.
We're one energy. We got to address all of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, Candace, this book is available not on Amazon, but it is on Amazon.
Oh, it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It would be in bookstores if you could get into a bookstore. You'd have to order it, but it's available internationally, actually.
Okay, nice.
You just have to have the ISBN, and so if you go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble and you just type in Spiritual Transformation Simplified, it'll pop up, and you can order it there. Or, if I don't know if you'll post anything about the
I will post that. So guys, you can get it at Amazon, you can get it at Barnes and Noble,
anywhere.
And if you're getting it international, you can also go there and get the ISBN number, which is, you scroll down a little further where it's got the book details, and you have the ability to get it there. Candace, this is fabulous. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Cheryl. You rock.
Thank you so much. Hey, so say goodbye to the folks.
Goodbye. No, here's my way of saying goodbye. Have fun.
There you go. And don't go anywhere. Guys, there you have it. Miss Candace Stuart-Findlay and her book, Spiritual Transformation Simplified. This is a phenomenal book, especially if you are looking at a deeper understanding of how you are connected with the universe and the energy that surrounds you and how your body actually functions based on that. You know, when you wake up every day, it's not just the fact that you get to wake up and you're going through life's motions, but there is a purpose. And people are always asking that existential question, what is my purpose? But here's an opportunity for you to learn more about how you are connected and how your body parts function. As she started talking about the liver, and we could probably go on for hours with this conversation because I am so very interested and it's intriguing. So what do you have to do? You got to get the book. You have to go to Amazon, get the book, and then write a review, because I've seen some incredible reviews on this book. So people are using it to just transform their lives and to reach one's own identity. So it's a great opportunity for you to do that. So, hey, listen, join us every day, Tuesday through Friday, 3 p.m. on the Author's Lane, because you never know who we're going to have on the Author's Lane, and you never know what you're going to have access to. But if you are looking at books and you are so tired of your bookshelf, or you just can't figure out what else do I want to read, that might not be something that you are used to reading. Maybe you want to step out of that genre and go somewhere else. Here's an opportunity for you to find an author that has just shared their heart, their work, their passion with you here on the Author's Lane. So thank you for joining me. My name is Cheryl Mays from Rise and Shine CF. And every day, Tuesday through Friday, we offer this opportunity for you to have a visit from an author. So definitely join us. And we look forward to continuing this and bring more people. Get other people to watch with you and send them links so that they can find out. And listen, for all the authors that we've had on the show, you can go to YouTube and you can pull up their video. You can find out more about the book if you remember the name or you remember the book and you want to find out more. Go to YouTube at Cheryl Mays, and all of the authors that we have had on the show are actually going to be there. And stay tuned, because there is something incredible getting ready to happen with the Author's Lane as we have gotten bigger and better. And so I am so excited about it. And I know you're going to be excited about it too. So have a fabulous day.